Welcome everybody to GoLocal Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. A couple quick pieces of news. One, want to thank Dr. Michael Fine for joining us earlier. He gave the breakdown on today's numbers, and we took a look at some of the issues related to COVID and what's called long haulers, those people who are affected and impacted for their health, both neurologically as well as physically over the long term. Also, a news story on Tiger Woods and how fast he was driving at the point of impact. Take a look at that. And also Governor Gina Raimondo, she was part of today's White House press briefing and talked about her success in leading Rhode Island's recovery and economic development efforts. So that is also available on GoLocal. But let's go, maybe it's my favorite part of the week. It's right up there. It's the Mott and Chace Sotheby's International weekly interview. Real estate is hot, hot, hot. Ben Scungio joins us today. Ben, thanks so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good. So everybody is just intrigued about real estate right now. And I want to kind of take a look at the big picture to start. It's supposed to be the beginning of the spring season. Lots of sellers putting their houses on the market, buyers driving around to look at houses. How are those sellers coming along? Are you getting any sellers this time?
So the sellers are coming out of the woodwork, just like the crocuses are coming out of the ground, like you mentioned last time we talked about the spring market. We've definitely seen a influx of homes coming on the market, which is fantastic. But that being said, there's still a backlog of buyers out there who are ready, willing, and able to purchase. So how the velocity in the market is still at an all-time high. Homes are selling at an all-time high price point, and they're selling quick.
Are we talking, it seems completely out of whack. Are we talking 50 buyers for every seller?
We're averaging, for the agents in the office, I want to say they're averaging at a minimum 30 to 40 showings with about another 5 to 10 offers on a property. So yeah, that's about an accurate statement.
Yeah, that is a good time to be a seller. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about, we had a piece earlier, I think it was this week, about how important credit scores are. This has kind of gotten lost with low interest rates and how hot the market is. But both on the high end for purchasers who are looking to get a jumbo mortgage, and those at the lower end who need an FHA mortgage, credit scores demands by those to approve are really cropping up and freezing some people out of the market. That wasn't true a year ago.
Yeah, so I can't proclaim myself as being an expert in mortgages, but I can tell you we work with a lot of great mortgage professionals, and they kind of have the same sentiment. The jumbo rates, the qualifications to get a jumbo mortgage are certainly gone up for credit. And so the credit ratings also for FHA mortgages have also gone up. The FHA is all kind of predicated on what Fannie and Freddie dictates. And my thoughts on that are, a lot of people who qualify for FHA mortgages currently are the ones who could have been out of work because of the pandemic, who are trying to get back into the workforce, may or may not have a steady stream of income, might be living on stimulus or unemployment. So I think the credit is really an important factor, especially on a Fannie Freddie backed loan. And then the jumbo mortgages have kind of been all over the place, quite frankly, over the past 18 months regarding people who qualify. The biggest thing that we're seeing with our mortgage partners is that the parameters to qualify as a self-employed individual is extremely difficult. I mean, you essentially almost have to provide your mortgage broker with a 2-year profit and loss statement to make sure that your income hasn't declined over 25% to get qualified.
Yeah, as well as a DNA analysis and hair follicles. It is a crazy, crazy level of requirement. As we see, you're talking 30 or 40, let's break it down, 30 or 40 buyers to sellers. Condos are a alternative. They're also moving fast. You know this market, especially in the Providence market, exceptionally well. Talk a little bit about what's going on in the condo market.
Versus last time we spoke, I'm really, really excited to tell everybody who's watching that the condo market is really coming back quite quickly. Perfect example, we had a huge, like I mentioned last time, a glut of inventory over at Water Place in downtown Providence. I can tell you that's declined about 30%. The inventory, that is, since we've chatted last. There's, which is, it's a great sign. There's other units in boutique buildings, specifically 101 North Main Street, which is above Mills Tavern. There was 2 units that went on the market there, beautiful units that sold within 72 hours to very qualified buyers. So the condo market is recovering really well. Our clients were really nervous about how the pandemic was going to essentially hurt their property value because people didn't want communal living. But I'm proud to say that it's all coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that building right outside the window of our studios. And let's put it this way. You need to be well-heeled to live in that building. That's an upscale building. It's a spectacular space. It's in a great location. We're proud to be here. And it really is a good sign for the market to see those moving so quickly. Let's talk about sellers. And first of all, you guys have a tool for sellers to go on and look and get a real-time market value of their property. What is that tool? How do they access it?
So Jenny mentioned this last week's segment. It's sell.mottandchace.com, and that's Chace with 2 C's, no S's in Chace. You are able to go onto that website, put in your property address, which then will do, we have an algorithm that will then give you 3 values. One could be a Zestimate, one could be an appraised value, one could be from another third-party source. But it really gives you a good idea of what your home is potentially worth in this market. And then after that, we always recommend contact, an agent over at Mott and Chace, Sotheby's International Realty, or your realtor, and have them kind of really give you a good, firm value. But to get a good start, sell.mottandchace.com is a great tool to figure out what your home could be worth in this market.
Listen, everybody who loves real estate has gone on to one of those platforms, and they've developed over the years. They seem to be super inflated in previous years, but now they've become more realistic, I think, or the market has risen to that inflated value. I'm not exactly sure. So it's good to see that there's kind of a local entity that's got a real-time tool as well that can give you some different options to see what the value of your property is. If you're a homeowner right now, you have to be thinking about selling. I mean, we've never seen anything like this, not in my lifetime, and we've seen some pretty explosive markets over, there's one in the 80s, obviously in the 90s, previous to the Great Recession. We've seen 3 really explosive residential markets. This one's the biggest.
Yeah, I think I read an article, Josh, that said that it's, the home values are at an all-time high over a 15-year period, which is just amazing right now. And, we're diligently working with all our clients and trying to, work with them on saying, this is the best time to sell. This may be the best time to sell in your lifetime. So let's work together. Let's get your home on the market. Let's try to find you another place to live, because you might not be able to have this opportunity to, make $50,000, $100,000, a few $100,000 when you sell your home. That all being said, when, not to be negative, but when the market does have some sort of correction, which it should have at some point, we're not anticipating to see values drop dramatically. There's really not an influencing factor that's out there like in 2008, or excuse me, in 2007, that, when you had the stock market crash and the Great Recession. There's nothing really out there right now that's saying this is going to influence the real estate market, this is going to drop your value. But we still feel, the market's at an all-time high, and it's a great time to take an opportunity to sell your house.
You might be able to sell your house. The hotel industry has been decimated. I'm sure you could literally sell your house in certain cases and buy a hotel to live in for equal value. I mean, it really is. It's a crazy period of time. You're seeing houses right now that are going on the market and going under contract in 2 and 3 days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes less than that, sometimes 24 hours.
And from your experience, are we literally seeing, I mean, you hear this anecdotal, CNN Business last week had a story about a house outside of Washington, D.C. got 88 offers. 76 of them were cash offers above asking price. It sold for 70% more than it was priced at. You know, I assume we're not getting 88 offers, but what, on average, on the properties that you guys are moving, how many offers are being received and how many of those offers are above the asking price?
So it all varies really on the price point. The higher end you go, unless it's a very, very desirable higher end property, you're typically seeing, you know, a couple offers on it, a couple, you know, most people wish they had a couple offers, you know, 6, 7 years ago, you know, 2, maybe 3. But between the, you know, the 200 to 500 price point, it is a feeding frenzy. You know, when I said before, we're averaging, you know, 30 to 40 showings and 10 offers, you know, that price point's probably more like, you know, 50 to 60 showings, 15 to 17 to 20 offers. And then when you get to a market that we really specialize in here in Providence, which is downtown on the east side, specifically the east side, you know, your hot price point is 450 to 900. And there we're seeing the, you know, the 20 to 30 showings. And again, you know, 5 to 10 offers potentially on the property.
Robert had a post on Facebook of a house, I know exactly where it is, on Greeton Drive over in the Summit neighborhood for under 400. You're going to get, for something on the east side, look like a cute little house, over in the Summit neighborhood, for under 400,000, that thing could draw people up and down the East Coast.
He's going to need a police detail for that open house.
How do you handle that? And then how do you leverage it to kind of get the word out to the neighbors of, you remember when Sally and John bought that house for 173 back in 92? Now that house is going to go for $450,000.
You know, we certainly, let me put it this way. All our agents in our office and in our company are really amazing at working their sphere of influence. And when they have a listing, they do a great job of marketing the property to gain additional business from it. We have a lot of tools here at Mott and Chace, Sotheby's International Realty, to help our agents do that. You know, and the Blackstone team does an amazing job. So, you know, they'll be knocking on doors. You know, if I had to take a guess at it, to tell the neighbors how great they did selling that home for their client. But you know what? A lot of times, Josh, the neighbors can see it for themselves. Like you said, we have people waiting down the street to get into homes, you know, spacing 6 feet apart, only allowing 1 to 2 parties in the home at once. Everybody, you know, again, 6 feet apart in the house, signing in. So there's the market has a lot to do with it, but our COVID protocol also makes the line in the process a little bit longer also.
Yeah, I bet. You know, last thing I wanted to talk on is buyers and sellers. They're 2 different worlds. There's should be 2 different agents. Talk about that issue a little bit. You know, you see houses moving quickly. You see people driving down from Boston after they saw something put on the market. They don't have a realtor necessarily down here. They go in and see the showing. They want to make an offer. Where's that line of delineation between those representing the buyers and those representing the sellers?
So I tell absolutely everybody, if they're working with an agent in our office, or if they're not, and they're working with an agent with another company, go get buyer representation. The seller has a fiduciary relationship the selling agent has a fiduciary relationship to represent their seller. And that's really it. There's really, representing 2 parties does not do the buyer any good. There's no way you can ethically say, I represent the seller and I represent the buyer without having both parties' best interests in you know, for what you want. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, listen, if I'm selling my house, If I'm selling my house, I want that agent. I'm not sure there's any other factor other than get me as much money as humanly possible, legally. No hostage taking, nothing like that. But I want as much money. That's why I'm selling my house. I'm trying to get a financial gain. I'm not sure I care if they have red hair or any other factor. And if I'm a buyer, I want my agent to get me the best value. Those two things seem absolutely positively in conflict with one another.
Yeah, they are. And, we always want what's best for our clients. So we always say, work with the buyer's agent. It doesn't cost you any money, and you're going to get full representation. And they're going to have your best interests at heart throughout the whole transaction.
And is everything 6% now?
Yeah, the commission, in our markets, it varies throughout the state. Commission is typically 6% in the Providence metro area, but there are municipalities that certainly fluctuate.
Last word, I give it to you. If you're thinking about selling your house, besides go to the special URL, sellmottandchace.com, what else should they be thinking about right now?
I think we're telling all of our clients that, put a plan in place at the end of the day. If you want to sell, you want to maximize your asset, your home, get as much money out of it, put a plan in place. Try to figure out a place where you can move to. If it's a short, this is a great time of the year, if there's any available, to get a short-term rental down in Narragansett or Jamestown. Take 3 months, go there until you figure out where you're going to go. Try to move in with family. Try to find an apartment and put your belongings in storage. It's just such an amazing time to sell your home that you should really be exhausting every single option in order to try to do that.
Ben, thank you so much, as always. One of my favorite times of the week, talking real estate. For everybody, listen, stay tuned for more updates on GoLocal. It has been a busy day. It's going to stay a busy day. Take advantage of this beautiful weather. Definitely, please wear a mask. Please get vaccinated as soon as you can and have an opportunity to really enjoy this summer. Let's build back the Rhode Island economy. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned for more.